Alright, this is just for show. It has nothing to do with beagles right here, but that's a little bloody. Alright, now we got that out of the way. Yeah. It's the seat, I swear. So, I guess it's kind of a follow-up on that last video, talking about a pen, some of the things you need to think about in your kennel type thing, whatever. Now it's going to be more or less, should you even get in them to start with? Alright? And we're going to start this off, and I ain't got no cheat sheets, so this is coming straight from the heart, so that way you know just how full of crap I really am. But anyhow, we'll start off with this example, or what I think the definition of like versus love. And beagles and all that stuff, you're going to be good at it, especially you need to love it. And here's what I mean by that. If, you know, a lot of people like rabbit hunting. You know, the deer season's over. You know, they're getting bored. There ain't nothing else to go shoot. They'll go with their buddies that's got beagles. They'll go shoot some. They like rabbit hunting. You know, because it's fun. That's the fun part of it. They like the fun. It's likable. But to have and maintain a pack, you have got to love it. And somebody that loves it, they'll get out there, have a bad day, walk all these miles over a deer or a dog that got crazy, something maybe went running a deer, doing something goofy. And they just have a horrible day having to chase dogs, do this, stuff going wrong constantly, and still want to do it. That person loves it. And that's really just a good rule of thumb to know if you love something. If you can handle it at its worst and still enjoy it, then you love it. It's plain as that's all there is to it. Another way to know if you love something is if you'll die for it. You know, you got nothing to live for if you have nothing to die for. It means you absolutely love it and care for it. And if you're going to have good dogs and you're going to stay in this any length of time, you've got to love it. Because if you put part-time into them dogs, you're going to have part-time dogs. There are a whole lot of really good dogs out there that are sitting in the pen, not getting trained, not getting sharpened, so to speak. You can't run them 2 or 3 times a year and expect to have good dogs. To have decent dogs, you really need to run them weekly, at least weekly, to have decent, good handling dogs or whatever. And the more you do it, the better. Now granted, you may put more wear and tear on them, may not live as long for the joints, you know, having issues and stuff, but don't keep too much weight on them. They'll last longer too, but that's another story another time. But the more you run them, the better they're going to be. So before you get them, period, you need to make sure you can maintain that dog. And part of that is, let's say you've established that you think you might love it. You've been around somebody else that's had dogs and they give you some advice and you kind of get an idea of what goes into it. Go with them and see how they worm them, how they do all that stuff. Once you've established you possibly love this, now you need to see if you can even maintain them. You need to put the time into them just like you put money into them to maintain them and have them at a proper level of function that you want. So if you can't put the time into them, that's technically okay. I hate it for the dogs, but you just might have so-so dogs. It might be a little aggravating. You know, it may take weeks to get them tuned up every season, you know, just whatever. Like I said, that's going to depend on how much you want to do it. Financially, just expect a beagle to eat a 50-pound sack of feed a month. Just go ahead and expect that. So that dog's going to cost you $30 a month in feed. That's about what a sack of dog food is in my area right now. It's about $30. So go ahead and anticipate that. I'm lucky during deer season. I get all kind of fat and just bloodshot and stuff like that. I get to feed them. So the third of the year, 4 months or so, I literally don't buy dog food. That's the best thing for them dogs. They do great with it. But anyhow, so mine is negated because of my living. But you got to worry about that and all this other stuff. The purchase of a dog, how you going to go about that? And the collars, you need to have collars on them dogs. There's so many people nowadays. There's so many private posted signs and places you can't go and this and that. And it's just, you have the human conflict. And you have a lot of people don't understand dog hunting. You got these deer hunters. They think dogs mess up so much of the deer hunting and so much of the deer habits, and they really don't. Which I got a call coming in. Let me handle that and we'll continue talking. Hey, probably the entrance. Well, one of them has a sign that says enter, and one has no sign at all. Okay. Oh, and by the way, you're going to be on YouTube. I don't mean in the future, just like specifically right now I'm making a video. So, yeah, you're at least going to hear me talking to the phone. How about that? He told y'all, hey. I ain't gonna tell you what he said just then. Something about him being a pedophile or something, I don't know. But it's a lot easier to hold a conversation when you're the only one that can talk, right? It's a buddy of mine. He'll come over here and spread some gravel out for me, which I got from another buddy of mine for free off a construction job. So yay, good to have buddies. Anyhow, back on subject here. Back on subject. This may take me a minute. Hang on. Okay, we was talking about douchebags and property lines. Now, a lot of people get sorely bent out of shape about a dog even looking at their property, and that's just ignorant. They've not grown up dog hunting. They don't know. We've been out coon hunting before, and deer bedded all in the field, and the coon dogs literally walking amongst them and finally go off, hunting whatever they're hunting. The deer just keep sitting there. They don't care. We've coon hunted before, and dogs be a treat or something, look over there, and about 40 yards off in the woods, there'd be two deer just sitting there looking at us like, what in the world? It don't bother them. I'll give you a good example right quick. And people think that are stupid. That's just all there is to it. That is a stupid thing. Unless the dog is actively hunting those deer, which is few and far between, especially now people got all these collars and everything. There's very few deer races happening anymore, just because people can shock them and stop that race. And they got all these tracking collars on them, which once again just cuts so much bullcrap out. But the thing is, you got to realize that the deer live out there with coyotes. Coyotes actually kill deer. They kill fawns. They get after deer, and the deer live with them all the time. So the deer is constantly used to having a canine around. And it's an extremely ignorant thing when people get out there and they're like, oh, dogs are messing up. Man, I'll shoot these dogs. And people shoot your dogs. That is sorry. It's illegal, but it's sorry. If you don't believe me, look it up. It's actually a felony to shoot somebody's dog on your property or whatever, unless it's causing damage to your livestock property or whatever. But what a lot of people do, like I say, a deer runs across a cow pasture, a dog be out in the woods. When it gets out in the cow pasture, somebody will shoot it and say it was running their cows, which that's a lot, What's a beagle going to do to a cow, right? That's bullcrap. That is utter bullcrap. There's a lot of sorry people out there that will flat out shoot your dog. Now, you do, and I know it brings up a whole nother side of things, like, well, the people, that's their property, and this, that, and yeah, it is, but if they're that worried about a canine hurting their livestock, the coyote's what does it. Get the coyotes. Leave that short-legged beagle alone. That's ignorant. That's stupid. That's sorry. That is a flat-out sorry human being right there. That's the way it is. There's a lot of truth in that. So you're gonna have to worry about that. Deer turn. Years ago, people could turn loose in other people's yards, go hunt some coon or rabbit. Well, nobody cared. But when deer got reintroduced back in the '60s, deer turned a whole lot of good hunting land into private posted land, and turned a lot of good people into buttholes. It really did. All these people started making deer clubs and putting this up and acting. It caused a lot of friction when people used to didn't give a damn. Deer, and I know it's a conundrum with me making a living processing deer, but it's a gray area with them. In one way, I make a living with them. Another way, I wouldn't care if every deer around for about 1,000 miles just dropped dead. And it ain't the deer's fault. You can't blame a deer, but it's what humans' greed has done with it. But either way, what I'm getting at is, I told you all that conundrum there. That was a bit of a rant. I told you that to let you understand. You better be prepared for people going to try to buck up to you about property lines, this, that, and the other. And then there'll be people, once again, people like to think they own everything. You might be hunting a strip of management area somewhere, and a guy come down there and tell you that's his property, or try to run you off of it. It might be TVA, whatever. you're going to run into that. You're going to have people, if you get on hunt public land like I do, you'll get down there and get to hunting. And there's several douchebags around here like this. You'll get down there and get to hunting because their property touches it. They'll call the game wardens, and just because they'll make it hard on you and make them come out there and check you and everything. Even though you're doing everything legal on public land, they're going to claim, oh, their dogs was running deer. Oh, there was this. They're going to do everything in the world to hurt you over that. So you gotta. It ain't like slipping around hunting. You've got dogs. Your people know where you're at. Also, it's another thing. You don't need to be pulling illegal stuff when you got dogs, because you don't need if you have to run or anything, you don't need to be just leaving your dogs out there neither. You're kind of tied to them. You don't want to waste all them years just to leave a dog behind, which should have your name, collar, and everything on it anyways. I don't think you have to in Alabama, but it's good practice to have your name and number on that dog. If it gets lost, it'll hopefully get back to you, which happens most of the times. Every dog I've ever lost, I've got back. There's a lot of good people around here. Just there's some sorry property owners too, and there's some good ones, but those are a lot more rare than what they used to be. But anyhow, you need to be prepared for that. You need to be prepared, I guess, to sum all of this up. Make sure you can maintain that animal. Go with some other people, see if you actually like it and love it. And if you cross that boundary, make sure you can maintain that animal. Make sure you can maintain it financially, health, time, all that stuff properly. And that's the video if you should get into. And if you do get into it, realize it's a lot of headache. There's an old coon hunting saying around here, says a lot of shoe leather to the coon. And they don't mean like, oh, they're going to tree a mile at you. That ain't what they mean. What they mean is you got to get out there, and it's a lot rougher training a coon dog. Coon dogs ain't that smart compared to a beagle. And and on top of that, you're asking that coon dog to not only run and bark, which is kind of natural. Coyotes can run, coyotes can bark, wolves do the same. That's natural. There's nothing natural about sitting there looking up a tree barking for an hour. That treeing instinct is not natural. So you're asking that dog, and they've bred that dog to do something totally unnatural. And then whatever they done to breed that instinct into them, it really sacrificed intelligence on a lot of coon dogs. So you're taking an animal that's inherently not as smart and asking him to do something against nature, which requires intelligence. You see the issue here. So understanding that, they'll say there's a lot of shoe leather to the coon. People, you got to go out and catch coons. You got to walk all that stuff, trapping all them coons, bringing them back, training the pups, walking, even before that, getting hides, training them, doing all that stuff. And then when you go out and hunting them, sometimes it may take a coon dog a year or two to ever do right. A lot of it, they're once again slow learning dog, because like I said, treeing ain't natural. And you got to put all them miles in them. And unlike beagles, when a beagle runs and goes through a crazy swamp and does whatever, you just sit over here and wait. Maybe he'll run that rabbit bag. You ain't got to go there. If that coon dog goes through all these other hills and hollers and swamps, and he goes over there in trees, you got to go through all that bull crap, wade, get a boot full of water, briar scratched all to pieces, watching for snakes. When you get over there, you've got it might be a big old den tree. You might not even kill a coon. There's a little more rough walking with coon hunting. So the old saying is there's a lot of shoe leather to the coon. It ain't just the hunt. It's all the training, all the bull crap before it, and all the stupid trees and stuff you're going to go to before that dog, you finally got it trained. That dog finally clicks and becomes a coon dog. Well, it's kind of that way with beagles. It ain't that complicated per se. But once again, the more you can run them, the more you can walk them around, the more you can handle them and start young. The more you can handle them, the better it's going to be. So, like I said, I've kind of touched base on a future video about how to get into beagles, but right now this is a video of if you should get into beagles. So, hopefully that answered some of y'all's questions. This was for Ethan Crum once again. He's the one who suggested this. And heck, if y'all have any suggestions, let me know. I guess I'm getting back into this a little bit more. And when I get a good computer set up, finally, I got like 15, 20 videos worth of stuff I collected all winter. It's just so scrambled and it's so messed up and it's so aggravating. That would take some kind of time to get all that going. So there'll be that's some backup footage for right now. But either way, hope y'all enjoyed that. Even for those of y'all that the video wasn't technically for, and Either way, I got a beaver to skin. I got some gravel to get done. After this, I got a buddy of mine. We're going to a little barbecue. We're going to have like a beaver barbecue. I've been catching a few lately for a guy, which I think he watched my videos too. So thank you for letting me trap. I appreciate that. But either way, y'all have a good day. Well, good, beautiful morning. You seem like you're excited.
Yeah.
Are you excited or just glad to be out of the house?
I'm just gonna get my shovel.
I go get your shovel. I ain't gotta do that. I got a little garden trowel over there, boy. You'll be just fine.
What the heck you doing with that thing?
Huh?
What the heck you doing with that?
Well, I'm cleaning it. You better go ahead and knock off the tail and the legs. And I do it with a knife. That way you don't. That way there's no bone shards and all that rough junk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And keep your hands clean. That way you ain't getting fur back on stuff. And then gonna continue skinning it and just getting the meat off of it. That last one we probably got 15-20 pounds of meat off of it. It is a big one.
You eat beavers?
Why? Yeah.
I didn't know you eat
I
beavers.
mean, you'd have less kids if you did too. No, I'm just kidding. But anyhow, but I guess you ain't here for that.
What the heck is this?
What's that? That is a swank. Little fella likes swing on.
Oh, that's what I thought.
That's what he does. I mean, he knocked himself out on the car too many times. Now, once or twice, he kind of learned.
Right.
Anyways, okay, now that's the end of the video.